All right. Hi, everyone. We're here with Lillian, and she is one of the graduates for our first Akashic Record certification course and empowerment coach course, right? Everything all put together. And so she's going to talk to us about her experience, about why she joined, what her experience was during the course, and then afterward, so that you can decide if it would be a good fit for you. So, Lillian, thank you so much for being willing to talk to everybody to share your experience. So, I know that you had an Akashic Record reading with me about 2.5 years ago,
Right.
and you and I were having a session about something else, and it came up that I was doing this class and that I was going to be teaching people how to do the readings that I did for you. And I know you were immediately interested. So what were your thoughts around that?
Well, the, the initial session I had with you 2 years ago made a big impact on me and helped me a lot. And I've always been interested in the Akashic Records, and the idea of learning more about them and understanding them was very appealing. I knew you and I trusted you, so I knew, that was something. And it just seemed that it was right for me. I didn't think about it twice. Once you said it, once you explained it, I knew it was the right thing, and I had to decide. I mean, it was before COVID when I made the decision, and because I knew it would you at the time was going to involve a few months work, and I didn't know how that would affect me and my life partner with whom I live and the money and everything. But we talked about it, and I said I knew I wanted to go for it, and he said go for it. So I went for it, and boy, am I glad I did. I've learned so much more about everything and about myself. It's made a huge difference. And when I went back to look at the session that I had with you 2 years ago, um, it made even more sense and more. It had much more of even more of an impact now because I really understood even more.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've kind of explained the course kind of like a mini college course on the Akashic Records, because
Mhm.
it's not like some superficial willy-nilly kind of
Mhm.
thing, is it?
No, it's a lot of work actually, and thankfully, if COVID had to happen, I'm glad it happened now, just as I was about to start the course, because it took a lot of time. And partly it's the way I study, I guess. But Tamlo gives us a lot of information, but in pieces so that you can really digest it. And there's written material, and she does videos, and then we have these weekly classes, which are invaluable. And you can ask anything you want. And they went on for a minimum of an hour, usually 2 hours, and it was just two other people at this time. And I don't know. It was every time I learned something more, it was like, wow, wow, wow. And a lot of it's about the universe and things that we didn't know. A lot of it's language. I guess you call it vocabulary. And it's very different from anything else I had ever really studied, and worth it constantly. I would just be blown away every time, and every new chapter. And the idea that I could actually access the Akashic records myself, that was that was amazing to me, and it works. It really works.
And so did you ever consider yourself to be psychic or intuitive or anything like that?
Never, no, no, I've always never. No, I get bumps. I can't say no. I'm not psychic. It's like muscle testing.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a form of, I call it a form of muscle testing. That I've always understood, not always, but I've only been involved in any of these kind of healing things seriously in the last, I would say, 15 years or so, starting with yoga and then meeting people through yoga and a lot of other modalities. And I've had readings and I had medium after my husband died, that sort of thing. But so I was open to it and believing in it and in the understanding of it, but not believing in it, but not understanding it. I should say.
So you don't have to be psychic. You don't have to be intuitive. You don't have to be anything to do this coursework, because
No,
I teach you how to do it all. And the biggest thing I think that we get to come to understand is it's not about us. And once we know that it has nothing to do with us, where it's kind of like Reiki, where we're a hollow bone, right? Um, it's really about us being able to maintain a state of neutrality so that the information can come through that soul needs and wants to hear.
that's the hardest part.
Yeah. And
Hard-
then clearing it out, and then teaching them how to make different choices, right? And yes, the neutrality is the hardest part, and that also gives us the biggest transformation,
Yep, that's true.
because we get to learn how to do that, right?
Right. And if you, and the also it's so amazing because when you're in somebody's record, so when you give the session to the person, you're in their record, and if and they're saying yes, yes, yes to you most of the time, but if they say no, you can, while you're in the record, you ask, and you see that the time you got that information, you weren't neutral at that moment. And I had that happen a couple of times, and it just made it even more verification. Where I got, for instance, I would get something come through, and they said, say self-criticism. And no, no, I don't do that. And then it turned out, no, it wasn't. It was doubt, let's say. So they were doubting themselves, and where they weren't self-criticizing themselves. But right at that moment, with them in the Zoom, online, it, the you know the record was corrected, and because we weren't getting the right, she wasn't giving me the right response back, and that I wasn't being correct, and but now that is mind blowing to me. It's wonderful. It's so affirming.
Yeah. And then being able to really distinguish between and know how to interpret now on an energetic level the
Mhm.
difference between those two energies, right?
Yes.
Because some people may think, gosh, those are really similar energies. But for the recipient, right, for the soul of that person's like, no, it's not this one. But then you pulled out the doubt, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, of course it's doubt.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where, yeah, and that's the hard that you're right, that it's the hardest part, but it's also the most reaffirming. There's no question about that.
Mhm. Yeah, the nuances. And you just learn more and more and more and more and more. And it's so exciting. So, what has been most surprising for you, do you think, in the course? Was there one particular chapter or modality or a part of it that surprised you the most? And this was a,
Well, the most surprising is how basically in the long run it really is easy to do. That's really the most surprising, and that you get verification so that you know that you're right, but you don't get it until you have the conversation with the person whose record you're in. But other things that surprised me, the whole thing about our origination, all the different, there's a list like this of all the places that we could have come from, all of those different things I didn't have any understanding of before. And understanding, truly understanding about spheres of protection and white lights and blue lights and the guides that we have, and being much more distinctive about them, and understanding more about vibration rates. What do they really mean? That sort of thing um, was all new information to me, and all, I wouldn't call it surprising, just wonderful to know, and learning and so forth.
and clarifying.
Clarifying, thank you. That's a
Yeah.
good word. Yes.
I know when I learned the work, it was like remembering, right? It wasn't for me, I didn't experience it necessarily as having to learn something from scratch. It was more like, well, of course. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, of course. it was really just like remembering.
Well, I don't know that it was remembering, but it made sense. Everything makes sense. And it's all this new stuff. I said, yeah, sure. It does, it's, I don't know that it was remembering as much as it's just, I knew it was right and true. It's true. There's something good about that. That's, the truth is really It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's all logical. And it's so funny because I always before I started, I was terrified of the Akashic records. I thought that was way too woo woo, right? Like beyond woo woo. And I was like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And then when I got in and it was like remembering, it was like, gosh, this isn't woo woo at all. This is just logical. It, it just is logical. It makes total sense. And it makes relationships make more sense, and choices make more sense, and patterns make more sense. And being able to access the information in someone's records on their behalf with their permission then lets you also generate new pathways of positive karma, of, not helping people, because helping sometimes disempowers them, right? But supporting and encouraging and enlivening and clearing and showing up in a way for others that we couldn't do any other way.
It's true.
Yeah. And so how do you think the people that you've worked with so far, how do you think that they have received their sessions?
It's all been very positive, and I was just gonna one of the people had he's had wonderful responses and feels great now. And one of the things that happened to her is blame came up for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I can't believe that. I can't believe you said blame, blame. I've been blaming people all my life. I've been being blamed all my life. And usually I'm wrong. And she said now she understands why. And and she did all the clearing work. And if it starts to happen again at all, she knows what it is and she changes it. And she said she said everything's been going great at work and everything's been going smoothly here and there and everywhere. And that was a big thing for her because, and she had and it was sort of ironic that the day we did this session where I told her that, about 2 days prior to that, she told me this story. She said she had some renovation done maybe 3 years ago, and she was missing something like a phone, something, and she was sure that this person that did the had taken her phone, and she just blamed him in her head. And for 3 years, she's been blaming him. She found the phone in her house 2 days before we had the session. So there's no such thing as coincidences. She found the phone. She knew she was wrong, and then she was unbelievable when I told her that when blame was coming up, and she has had a wonderful response. And I just talked to someone else just now who has had some what do you call it, compassionate connection issues, and that's working out. She's trying to breaking that and being more aware of it, and the other person allowing the other person to be more independent from her. It's one of her children, so it's hard, but she's doing it, and she says she sees the difference and she can feel it. So it works. That's all I care about. It's working,
That's right. It works.
It works. It works. It makes it. And the thing that amazes me is the concept that this is what your soul wants you to know now. I tell that to everybody because I find that, really, it's really beautiful. And you can do this again in a year or 6 months or whatever, and there'll be different things because you'll have taken care of these things. But this is what you need to do now. And that means that you're being helped. Your soul wants you to do this. And I guess I guess the people that come to you are people that get pointed somehow by their souls.
Yeah. Because people don't come for this work unless they're ready for it, because it is transformative. Mm-hmm. It really does change things. And sometimes it changes things in loud, chaotic ways. And sometimes in soft and gentle ways. It just depends on where we are and how long we've been holding on to those things, right?
Yeah. And I guess I think you told us this, that it gets louder like each lifetime as it gets, as your soul wants it. So if you did something 50 lifetimes ago, and then the closer it comes to your lifetime now is when your soul wants you to get rid of it for whatever, that's my understanding anyway. And it makes sense. It makes sense. It's about time, I guess, soul is saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we have all these options, even in a single lifetime, we can create these blocks and restrictions in our present life, because we do look at that too. And each time these cycles come around, we have the opportunity to make a different choice in our relationship or in our career or our relationship to money or self-care or whatever it is. And the more we continue to make the patterns of choice, the louder those patterns become and the more they hurt, right? Mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever. They become pain points for us until we resolve them. And they will, if we leave our life, which means we die, and we haven't resolved these things, they still need to be resolved. So the next time we come into a body, we're going to have them with us. And these are the things that we're going to have to work on. And our soul is like, look, make a different choice. You can do this, I promise.
Well, speaking about that, one of the things that I admired about the way you were giving the course is you've given us a lot of concrete examples from your own life and from others that you have helped. And that's really helping, because sometimes you're still thinking in the abstract, but when someone says to you, this happened to me and I did this and then I did this and made this choice, it makes a huge difference, huge.
Yeah.
And another thing I can't call it a surprise, but I guess it's sort of a surprise, was the idea of the earthbound people being around you and understanding that more, and that they haven't completed their death cycle, I guess is what it really is. That was, I had no understanding of that. And that was really, really important to know. And it feels good to know that and to understand more about death.
Right. Right. And also to understand more about, there's this idea that ghosts are mean, right? The ghosts are haunting people. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it's just people who got lost on the way to the light and they didn't finish their transition process. And one of the wonderful things that we learn is we learn about that in this course, because it's one of the things that we check for. Whether there are these souls that are attached to a person or a property, because we do learn how to clear properties as well. And we then know what to do to help them into the light. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. It is. The accuracy of the information is mind-blowing, truthfully. It really is. And when they say to me, yes, absolutely, that's what they go, oh, I can't believe you, they say things like that. I can't believe you know about that. So
yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it is like, wow, it is. There's no question.
Okay, so this certification course, in this particular course, you get the certification for reading the Akashic Records. You also get a lot of extra training that I have added to the course, right? So you get the course here. Then you get, for the first several months, you get weekly Zoom calls where we're, on as a group, we're answering questions, we're doing all that every week. Then it goes to twice a month, and then eventually it will go to once a month. And there's all kinds of past calls. There's, I help you set up a business if you haven't done that before. We align your marketing to your soul purpose, right? To your energy centers. I show you how to set up a landing page and get your payment processing set up so that you can actually take payments and start earning money. And then we also have all this other bonus content where you're learning how to shift yourself, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we talk about too in the class is not just about the clients, but how all this stuff applies to us and how we see it and how we can work through it and how we can deal with our self-sabotage and how we can really get past and get through these experiences of distraction or confusion or fear or any of those things, right? So it's a lot of personal work that we get to do as well. And so there's a whole lot that you get here, more than just, you know, a 7-week class and a piece of paper, right?
There's no question about that. And some of the other women that are in the class have had, I've had very little of that sabotage experiences, but they have had some, and working through it. And you've been right there all the time. I can pick up the phone, I can email, I can text, and I know I'll get an answer within a reasonable, you know, whatever, right away or the next day. And that's huge, because especially when you're doing this work that you really is somewhat woo-woo and hard to understand in the beginning. Not so much now for me, but in the beginning, and all these months until until you actually do it, it's still out there in the abstract somewhere until you have this person say, yeah, yeah, you know. And that's where, you know, every penny was worth it. No question in my mind. I mean, I knew from the beginning it was a lot of money, but I trusted you, and I wanted to do it, and I knew it was right for me. I mean, so my soul, I guess my soul was telling me, something was telling me to go for it. So, because I had never done that, spent money like something like that on myself before. So, but it's been worth every penny and more. And we're still not finished, right? There's more. It's said coaching and all this other bonus. There's a lot of, and the other nice thing is all the recordings. I've kept all the Zooms. They have all the audio recordings. I can go back to any of them anytime. I have them all on my computer now, and all of the other information, all the bonus stuff is all, you know, in my computer as well. So if and when I don't have access to the class anymore, if that happens, I don't know how that works. I don't need it because I've got it all, and that's really wonderful too. And all the samples. So, you know, you can put your own spin on it, but the emails you send to people, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, because lots of handouts too.
Yeah, yeah, all of that. Yeah. And you go back to it. I go back to it. I was going back to a lot of it, and I know I have it. I don't have to search for it.
Yep. And those of you that are tech savvy, you can put it on your phone or your iPods or whatever you want to put them on, and take it with you and listen to them when you're in transit and, you know, on the bus, or, you know, wherever. And that's why I think the audios are so important to be downloaded, so that you can do that. You know, you can listen to them while you're washing dishes, or, you know, drive into town or whatever.
True.
Walk in the neighborhood, because the repetition is what's going to help, because a lot of the actual course is vocabulary. And so it really is understanding what it is, what the possibilities of how it can show up are, and what is included and what's not included. Because, you know, we got to have a good frame of reference. We got to know what it is and what it's not, and what it can be and what it can't be, right? And you know, that comes up, what we learn, and the more we do, the more we practice, the more we learn, the more proficient we get. And the access to being able to ask me questions is one of the things that I added specifically because I know it was one of the things that I missed. Because when I took the certification, you know, it was just a video course, you know, a limited number of hours of video course, and then group telephone calls twice a month. And it was okay, but there was a lot of stuff that I wanted, that I felt was necessary. And a lot of that was, you know, the Facebook group, the ability to send an email or text, or, you know, jump on a call and say, okay, I'm lost, I don't get this, right? To have the 1 to 2 hour Zoom calls every week, so that, you know, we're getting in, we're asking the questions, you're telling me where am I confused, and then everybody in the class is getting to participate in the, oh yeah, I'm confused there too. And it becomes more and more and more wisdom filled, because we're all there to further the knowledge, right? Further the experience, to get it and understand it and really be able to utilize it, so that when we are in the records asking the questions, we have a good frame of reference. So we're going to have accuracy, right? And we're going to have them go, yes, that's right, that's right.
Well, that's where the examples are so important. The examples, and then the Zoom calls are vital. I got off of every Zoom call smiling and happy, because there's no, everyone's questions, everyone has the same different questions, but they all lead to the same, we all have the same questions in a way. And so someone else may have it in a different way. And just hearing other people having the same issues or framing different ones I hadn't even thought of yet is wonderful. And then getting the answers, and the answers with examples, is huge. And then and then during the week while you're doing the studying, we can, you know, email you or Facebook you or whatever you want, and get an answer that we need right, if you need it right away, don't want to wait till the next week. So
Yeah.
it's excellent.
And so, is there anything else that you would tell someone, oh, well, they don't even know what state of, or a stage of life that you're in? So like, people are like, well, I work, you know, I'm still working, or I'm
Oh,
retired,
I'll see.
or
Well, I'm retired, but yes, you, and it does take time, but you can manage it, because even with your work now, the other two people are, well, one of them is working pretty much full time, and she's managing to do it, and she has the audios, and then she, when she gets time, she does the video, whatever she wants with the videos, and she comes to the Zooms. It's very doable because it's done the way that Tamla has orchestrated it. It's like by week, but by section, and we don't get the next section until we're all finished with the first section, or then the second section, the third section. So we're all on the same page, and we have the good time to do it. And if we needed more time, we got more time. If it was supposed to be for a week and we needed another week, we got another week. That was big too, because some of them take up more than others, depending on what the actual, because the frame of reference is really important.
yeah.
So, and you do have to understand. And that's why without questions, I don't know how you get that understanding, because you could be totally, not totally wrong, but wrong.
Yep. And wrong in this work is still wrong.
Because you won't get the right answer. That's what the scary part is. If you have the wrong frame of reference, you'll get an answer, but it won't be the right answer. That's sort of, it's scary. It makes you, it kind of forces you to make sure that you are neutral.
Right, right. And then when you're neutral and you're getting the answers, then when you're with the client and the client is going, yes, I can't believe you found that.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you, I understand.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. And it's like, I wish I had known this 50 years ago.
I've said that about a lot of things. That's part of being older, you know?
Yeah. So if there are some other retired ladies around, and I know that you're, you can share your age if you like, but would you encourage someone who's your age to get into this work, and why?
Oh, absolutely, because it's so fulfilling. I'm 78. It's so fulfilling. You're helping others, if that's what, and you're learning. You learn so much yourself. I can't begin to say that, and I'm hoping that some other people do at any age to do it. And it's just, you just feel wonderful about your own self, and you understand more about life in general, and about death, which is really important, and about other people having their own journeys, and that you can just do so much for somebody because they're on their own journey. And that's the reason that some of these tragedies happen that we can't understand, with children dying and that sort of thing. But it helps you, deal with those things in life, I think, at any age.
Yeah.
And a retired person generally has more time, but somehow we all retired people don't understand how they ever work because your days just go, so.
Time fills up regardless, right?
No, and I commuted for, I don't know, 40 years or 45, 50 years into Manhattan. And that's, that leaves you out of the house from, 12 hours a day. So, but even doing that, you could do that because you could do it on the bus and you can do it on the weekends and you can do it either way. And retired, you'll have to give up some of your other retirement activities to give yourself a couple hours a day. That's all. And it's fine.
So it wasn't too overwhelming?
No. The idea, in the beginning, the concepts were overwhelming. Overwhelming is not the right word because they were inspirational at the same time. It was a lot, but it's kind of mind-blowing. It's kind of,
yeah. It's perceptions.
Yeah. And the information itself keeps you wanting to know more.
Yeah. And then do you have experiences during your day when you're like, oh, I know what that is?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now I'm trying to see who's what kind of energy center, which I know is wrong, but you can't help it. So,
yeah.
And why some people aren't open-minded. That was big for me. Why there's some people that are just black and white and that's it, and you can't change them and you never will. Not that you can change anybody, but you can't even talk to them. If they say, the sky is blue, no, it's not, it's green, and that's it. That's an understanding about that. So there's a lot of things that came out just, even if you never help anybody, just learning.
Yeah, the level of wisdom is profound.
That's a good word. Yeah.
And I know that when I had the session for myself personally, and like everything about my past just fell into place, and it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I understand this now. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, I have to do this for other people. It's like I didn't have a choice. It was so profoundly awakening that I had to do it for other people. And then I've been doing it, every day, full time for the last 7 or so years. And then I got to the point this year where I was ready to teach it. And so I bring a lot of enthusiasm to it, I hope. And there's no question that's off the table. Everything is fair game. And we also learn by, talking about us, our own experiences, our own situations, and our own learning methods and our own self-sabotages. And everything is welcome, right? Nobody is ever, one of the things as the instructor, I also hold that space of neutrality around what's happening. And so everybody's able to bring what's happening, and then we deal with it. We get through it. We learn it. We adjust it, right? We clear it.
It's also helping those around us, our family. I can see a difference in my guy here. And I know one of the people that were in the class had noticed a big difference in her daughter, who was going through a lot of personal issues, and they seemed to be cleared away in the right way. And the only thing she could attribute it to was the work that she was learning and doing. And it does affect all those around us because we affect them, our energy. Mm-hmm. So, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, it is. So the kitty came to say hi. Yeah.
I hope that's okay.
Kitty energy is awesome.
Got his tail here.
Yeah. Energy is awesome. So the time commitment's doable.
Definitely.
The financial investment is an investment, but it's worth it.
I think so. And of course, it does become a business if you wish it to, so you can recoup.
Mhm. Yep. So if you do the business, you can write this off. I'm not a tax expert, so I'm going to say consult your tax attorney.
Right.
But as the tax laws are written right now, the course is part of your education certification to obtain your ability to do the work. Therefore, it at the time is a tax write-off for your business. And then, like she said, when you start doing these, you can do them, gosh, depending on what you charge, you can pay them off and maybe pay the course off in, 12, 15 sessions that you give to other people. And you paid off your whole college degree.
True. Well, I can read you what I wrote here.
Okay.
Just I, you ask what would I say go for it is really what I said. It's worth every moment of your time and every penny it costs. It's life-changing for you and for others. I understand so much more about my own reading since taking the course, and I'm grateful to be able to share this information with others. And that's really where it's at, as far as and I've seen it work now, which is it's just wonderful. Enlightening too. It's very enlightening.
Yeah.
The whole experience has been extremely enlightening now that I think about that,
Yeah.
that word.
And so does it feel sacred to you?
Oh, definitely. That was a beautiful word to use. Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Sacred's the right word. And I feel privileged actually to have been allowed to do this, because if I wasn't supposed to do it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. No way. So no, yeah, sacred and privileged and blessed. But I've felt blessed for some time now.
That's wonderful. We are very blessed that you're in our lives and our experience and doing the work. So I'm really grateful to you.
I'm grateful to you, Tamil. It was all the extra stuff and all the wonderful stuff. It made a huge difference. I doubt that I would have tackled it with just listening online, because that only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so much. And without the examples and without the back and forth, I don't think it would, especially since I didn't really understand a lot. Maybe if I came from some other background, but I doubt it. I don't think so.
Because you were pretty much a newbie, right? And when I say newbie, I mean it's not like you weren't a Reiki healer or any of that. You were just, you did yoga.
Right. Basically, I took a lot of yoga courses, and I took a lot of the courses that teachers take, because I wanted to know more about yoga, but I never planned to teach. And no, I've had some wonderful experiences, with other healers, and they've helped me over the years. But it's only been in the recent years I've even delved into that.
Yeah. So even if you think you're a newbie, if you think, oh, I'm not an empath, I'm not a psychic, I can't get any of this, I'm too old, I don't know enough, all of that is hooey, because you can. And if you are attracted to this work, know that that's probably your soul telling you that you should check it out, because you're watching this or listening to this for a reason. So please make sure that you call or that you schedule, so that we can have a conversation to see if the class would be right for you, because I do actually check your Akashic records to see if it's a good fit. If it's not, that's okay. But we only want you in the class if it's going to be aligned for you at soul level.